Hey, what's good, guys? Welcome back to another awesome YouTube video. And in this one, we're going to go through some weekly analysis with me again, Tramayne. Welcome back, guys. Awesome to have you guys back on the channel. Now, for today's YouTube video, we're going to go through the DXY, Aussie CAD, some Aussie dollar, some Swiss yen, some New Zealand dollar CAD, and last but not least, US30 as well. So to get started with things, guys, we're going to be looking at the DXY. So looking at the daily structure here on the DXY, clearly obvious that we're in some sort of an ascending structure. We've got our nice, beautiful first touch in this area over here. You guys can see we've got a nice, beautiful second touch over there, and price is currently at or somewhere in and around this nice third touch area. Now, what we can basically see, if we just zoom in to this most recent price action over here, is that at this third touch area, we basically see prices entering some sort of a consolidation where we have prices closing above our resistance trend line. We come and close back below our resistance trend line. Prices break above, and we close back above this resistance trend line. Now, take note of as to where we are within the structure. We're at that nice third touch of our resistance trend line. Now, dropping down onto the 4 hour, we're going to observe a little bit of the nature of how prices are making the ascent to the upside. So let me just get the right tool to be able to move my charts. There we go. So looking at the structure over here on the 4 hour, just the most recent price action, we just see prices have created this extreme high. We've come down, we've created this extreme low, and therefore we see prices being stuck within this extreme high and this extreme low, creating resistance and creating support within those levels of structure. So conclusion being that on a 4 hour, we are moving sideways. We are stuck within some sort of a range. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're also going to be going down onto the 1 hour just for referencing the structure, the lower time frame structure, because we are at that nice, beautiful third touch, and we do see prices entering some sort of a corrective structure. We're going to be looking to isolate corrective patterns, meaning whatever corrective structure we do see, as long as price is in some sort of a consolidation, we're going to be observing the nature as to how is price creating that level of that structure. And then obviously we trade the structures that we do see. Now, what we do see here is a nice point of interest up there where prices did come close to, but not quite tap into this point of interest. And also this point of interest does sort of align with a nice, beautiful third touch region. So obviously, if we do see prices coming to this area here, this does function as a nice, beautiful point of interest for us to look for some sell bias price action, basically functioning off our higher time frame structure, which from a daily perspective, we observe that we are at that resistance trend line. We are at that third touch, and we should be looking for sells at resistance. We also do observe that the 4 hour is stuck within some sort of a consolidation, meaning that when we are stuck in a consolidation, we're looking for structures that obviously give us indication of where the next potential momentum could come in. And right now, we've observed a nice ascending structure, which obviously, if prices do come up to complete at the nice, beautiful third touch of the structure, we will be looking for that nice sell bias price action from the dollar index. So going into next week, guys, I'm going to be nice and sell bias on the dollar index. I'm hoping to see that prices doesn't come back up to the high of this range, but nonetheless, we'll try and trade whatever structures we do see inside of there. Right now, we've got a nice sell bias structure at this nice, beautiful third touch after prices have been stuck in this 4 hour consolidation. Hence, we sell bias on this pair. Let's get into our pairs. We'll go into the first pair that we're going to have a look at, and that is our Aussie CAD. Now, to reference our Aussie CAD structure, all we've done is to update our higher time frame structure is that we've just simply removed our support trend line from the equation. So basically, we've been stuck inside of this nice descending structure there, expanding descending structure, and we've broken to the upside of the structure, warranting us to basically want to be primarily bullish bias. But obviously, what we can see here is prices being corrective around this resistance trend line where we come up, we break and close above, we come back below, we break and close below. Now, basically what we're going to be doing when we drop down onto the 4 hour is we're going to be observing where is the most recent momentum going. And we can clearly see most recent momentum has been to the downside. We have even violated these nice 4 hour support structures over there where we were expecting prices to hold if this bullish trend was strong enough. We were expecting these 4 hour support structures to be holding. So since we've seen prices basically violating these support structures over here on a 4 hour and giving us some new lows, we're going to be expecting price action to maybe want to come down and fill some lower price objectives, maybe, I don't know, break to the downside, maybe even give us a larger corrective structure, who knows, pulling down into these support structures just a little bit deeper before we see that higher time frame momentum to the upside. But right now, we're going to be trading the most recent momentum that we do see, and we do see prices basically violating some support structures over there from a 4 hourly perspective, and that's basically what we're going to be functioning off. Now, what I have done for myself is I have isolated a nice point of interest from a 1 hourly perspective on a 1 hour time frame at these resistance areas over there. Basically, where we see that momentum coming in from a 4 hourly perspective, we see this nice big bearish engulfing candlestick over there. So what I've just done is I've went down onto a smaller time frame to basically just isolate that zone, just refine it a little bit more, and expect that this is, if I really want to be trading sell bias price action and I do want the probabilities on my side, these nice support areas or these nice resistance areas, my bad, are going to function as beautiful areas of probability for us to be looking for some trades. Now, obviously on that 1 hour, I can see that prices are developing or forming some sort of a head and shoulder structure. Now, if we just move this price action over here, we do see price action kind of giving us a nice right shoulder over there. We see price action breaking above, breaking back below, and we see price action coming back to the support region of this, or basically where we see the momentum coming in that was able to violate our structure. Now, obviously, we could be expecting some sort of a head and shoulder structure, but I wouldn't be looking to trade the right shoulder. I would rather be looking to take a reduced risk entry, waiting for the break and the retest of the neckline. If prices are to complete this head and shoulder structure, the main reason why I'm going to be looking for those reduced risk entries for now is basically just because we have not tapped into our point of interest, some higher time frame points of interest over there, and prices can still come up and fill the objective of completing our structures. Maybe you might find that the price is probably creating some sort of an expanding ascending structure, maybe this being our first touch, that being our second touch, and we might come up over here to give us a nice, beautiful third touch of our structure. So that's kind of what we're going to look for. The reason why I'm not being sell biased at this current moment in time is because for our structure is still bullish. These support structures are still holding and prices have not given us a new lower low as yet. So we can't be expecting a lower high when price action is still bullish from a nice 4-hourly perspective. So with that being in mind, I'm going to be looking for my probabilities to basically want to align for me at this nice, beautiful point of interest, maybe our third touch region as well. And if price action does obviously give us a beautiful ascending structure, then we're good for that risk entry. If we come here impulsively, then we wait for that reversal structure first before we start looking for our entries for that nice sell biased momentum. So this is kind of the structure that we're going to be looking to trade on AUDCAD, nice sell biased momentum going into next week. Let's go into some AU. Now, AU is a very interesting pair, guys. I've added this pair knowingly that it's going to require some patience from us. But I do feel like it's going to be a good learning experience to kind of just follow through on this pair, to watch how this pair develops as we're approaching the point of interest where we're obviously expecting some trading opportunities. Now, looking at this overall structure, what we do see here, I'm just trying to fix this trend line. My OCD, my trading OCD is coming into play, guys, the trading OCD. But otherwise, we're coming into this most recent price action here from a daily, and what we do see here is momentum to the downside, obviously violating some support structures over there. And then we kind of see prices entering some sort of a consolidating structure where price action has fairly been very similar in all of this price action over there. But we do have some sort of an expanding structure where we have prices giving us lows, giving us highs, giving us lower lows, and then we come up to give higher highs. So it's some sort of an expanding structure. Obviously, looking at where the momentum that came into this expanding structure started, momentum started from these resistance areas here, being able to violate some structure. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing on these extreme highs that we do see over here, identifying a nice daily point of interest where we see nice big bearish engulfing. Obviously, that's where the sellers came in from. And we also do, just looking at the most recent price action, identifying that prices are giving us highs, lows, higher lows. Obviously, being in an uptrend, we want to identify what kind of an uptrend we're in. We've isolated our beautiful support structures over there, first touch, second touch, third touch over there, nice support trend line. And obviously for resistance, we've got our first touch in this area here. We've got a nice, beautiful second touch. And you guys can see that we can come up to complete rather a nice third touch that does align with this nice daily point of interest that we've observed. Our momentum that was able to break our structure started somewhere in and around this area, obviously signified by the nice, beautiful bearish engulfing over there. So this then becomes a nice point of interest where obviously, guys, if we do wait for price action, exercise the patience. I'm not even going to bother to go down onto the 4-hour because we can see that we're on the daily and price action still needs to come to this point of interest. So what we're going to be doing is exercising some patience, waiting for price action to come up into this point of interest where we will be looking for our risk entries, depending on how price action gets here. Obviously, if we don't find our risk entries, we wait for price action to allow us to look for a reduced risk entry, whether it be at a right shoulder or whatever structure or whatever. As long as prices have violated some structure in the direction we're looking to trade, then we look for those lower highs to form. And obviously that becomes our reduced risk entry in this case. So AU, we do see some potential downside. It's obviously going to require some patience before price action does get into an area where our downside probabilities will start to increase. But otherwise, guys, we are traders and we trade where the probability is. We are not gamblers. We're not doing analysis to trade right now in the moment, to make a decision right now. But we're doing this process of analysis to identify where our probability areas lie. And obviously, that's where we want to be executing our trades, where we've got a better potential to make money if we do take the risk to find out if our analysis does play out or not. Going into the next pair, guys, we're going to be having a look at some Swiss yen. Now on Swiss yen is also another one of those pairs which should not be on this list for now because I don't think we're going to find a trading opportunity, but I do think it's going to be interesting for us to watch this this pair play out. Obviously, our New Zealand dollar CAD gives us a better trading opportunity, so we'll get there. And US30 also does give us a better trading opportunity. We'll get there. But right now, let's get into some Swiss yen. So looking at Swiss yen from a really higher time frame perspective, we're somewhere at or around this resistance trend line of this higher time frame structure that we've been seeing developing, kind of being the reason for a lot of our sell biases on this pair. Every time we've been at this resistance trend line, we've been looking to sell. Now we can also obviously add this nice support trend line there just so that we identify what kind of a structure we're in, and we are in some sort of an ascending channel. So obviously we are at the resistance of this ascending channel, meaning that we can still hold our bearish directional bias. Now, guys, to point out, yes, prices have been fairly impulsive towards this resistance area. Once prices are once prices are coming fairly impulsive to an area where we want to do the total opposite, which in this case is sell, we obviously know what we should be doing. We identify that right now there are buyers in the market aggressively buying Swiss yen. What we need to do is we need to wait for these buyers to show us that they are exiting the market. How will we know? If we do see some sort of an ascending structure. How else will we know? If we do see some sort of a reversal structure, like a double top structure, like maybe a head and shoulders structure. Doesn't really matter, but we need to look for a chart pattern first to confirm to us that all of this momentum that we're seeing aggressively buying Swiss yen has now decided to exit the market. We will be able to identify that once we see a chart pattern that indicates that sellers are potentially interested in selling from these resistance areas. Now, all we have to function off currently is this new resistance area that we've just violated. So obviously, if we don't see a reversal structure forming above our resistance area, all we're waiting for is just simply for momentum to push prices back below our resistance area. And obviously, we look for the continuation structures that form that give us a reason to now look for our sell bias trading opportunities below this resistance area. That momentum has obviously pushed prices back below. So obviously, one of two scenarios: we either wait for that reversal structure up top at this third touch resistance area, or we wait for momentum to push prices back below our resistance area, where we'll then begin to start looking for those continuations to the downside. Now, Swiss yen has been a ride. We've got some beautiful entries on Swiss yen. Swiss yen unfortunately did not hold our 4-hour structure, our daily structure, the higher time frame setup that we were looking for prices to react from these regions over there. We can see that prices did react, but obviously we didn't sustain the momentum after we've broken back below this resistance area. And I guess Swiss yen, obviously there's no momentum for prices to move to the downside. So what will Swiss yen do? Prices will move up to seek for those sellers to come into the market, to seek for the supply to come into the market, to be able to start to push prices down low. So what are we going to be doing since we're looking for some sell bias trading activity? We're going to be waiting for that supply to come into the markets, give us some beautiful trading opportunities before we look to pull the trigger. Obviously, patience, like Warren Buffett does say, that the market is an environment that takes money out of the pockets of the impatient and places that money in the pockets of the patient. So at all times, we're waiting for the market to present us trading opportunities where we do see those probabilities lining up in our direction before we pull the trigger. Now on to that New Zealand dollar CAD. Now coming into New Zealand dollar CAD is going to be very interesting. Everything went off, load shedding hit, but no, I'm just joking. Load shedding didn't hit. My device just went off, but let me just switch it back on just so that we got some light. Just give me 1 second, guys. Do apologize, but yeah, you guys know that there is liberal of logistics behind what we're doing. You guys know. But otherwise, yes, guys. Hi, this is Tramayne Adams. Welcome to my trading den. In Greg Secker's words, guys, you caught me in my trading den. This is my nice, comfortable space at home where I get into things, where I get into the zone. So welcome, guys. Welcome. But otherwise, let's get back into New Zealand dollar CAD. So on New Zealand dollar CAD, guys, we basically got this nice higher time frame descending structure. Now we already understand that descending structures will normally give us trades to the upside because they obviously break more often than not to the upside. Now identifying this higher time frame structure, we do have these support structures over here that we do see prices violating below, breaking back above, and obviously are due for a nice, beautiful retest if we are to see some bullish trading activity. So we do know that you guys can see that we obviously got a cyan label over there, a cyan flag. So we are bullish on New Zealand dollar CAD from a higher time frame perspective. Now to identify an area where we will find those trading opportunities is at this previous area of support where prices have broken below, broken back above, and obviously we could be expecting prices to come back and retest this area. Now let's hold that bias in mind as we go down onto the 4-hour, because on New Zealand dollar CAD is going to give us a sell, but let's talk about our important probabilistic setup first. So looking at stuff here, what we do see is that on a 4-hourly perspective, we are still obviously bullish, and prices, like on the other pair that we are looking at, will remain bullish as long as we remain above this nice key area where we do see a lot of momentum pushing to the upside, obviously being able to violate our resistance areas and as well as maybe other resistance areas there in the past. But obviously we're not there for that. We're looking at just this most recent 4-hour structure. So just this most recent 4-hour structure, we've got a beautiful bullish engulfing candlestick over here just at our support that aligns perfectly with our area that we're expecting prices to retest. So obviously this is functioning as our beautiful area that when prices get here, guys, this is where we are looking to add our size, because we have all the probabilities aligning up in this nice area for a nice beautiful buy. Who knows, price also might be creating some sort of a larger descending structure, allowing us to get a nice buildup of liquidity before we come down into this point of interest and seek for higher prices. So what we're going to be doing is observing this nice beautiful area of supply, obviously nice 4-hour supply demand area. Why am I using the word supply right now? Nice 4-hour demand area over there where we see nice beautiful momentum pushing away from this area. We're going to be looking for our trading opportunities for the beautiful higher time frame buy at those support structures there. Now coming into what we're seeing now, obviously we do see this momentum pushing to the downside. We've got this previous area of support there that has not been retested by price, where we do see the momentum nicely pushing away from. So obviously when prices come back to that area, we could see a beautiful reaction from price there. So let's drop down onto the H1 to observe this smaller time frame potential buy that we do have here. So guys, this is obviously our low probability setup, where obviously we do have points of interest that increase the probabilities of us seeking higher prices. So what we'll be doing, guys, is as long as price action stays above these support structures over here. My mic is kind of, I'm saying my mouse is a little bit shaky there. I don't know what's been going on. But as long as we remain above these 4-hour support structures there, let's continue to look for some bearish bias price action. So as long as prices don't break these support structures first before we go to the upside, guys, we will be looking to sell at this area here. Why? We do have a nice, beautiful supply area where we see the momentum pushing prices down, being able to violate some support structures over there, some other higher time frame support structures over there. And obviously it also is our previous support area that prices have pushed below, broken below from a 4-hourly perspective, where we could be expecting the nice, beautiful retest. We also, from a 1-hourly perspective, have this ascending structure, this corrective ascending structure, with our first touch being in this area here, second touch being somewhere in and around this area here. And obviously you do see the third touch area aligning nice and beautifully with our area of supply, our nice point of interest. So obviously we also have this equal highs that just formed most recently, where we know that equal highs, prices like to go in, whack those equal highs. So obviously we're expecting some prices, if we don't violate this lower structure here first, we're going to be expecting prices to obviously seek higher objectives before we seek, or rather before we see prices coming down to obviously seek violating maybe these lower structures there, obviously to go down into our higher time frame daily point of interest, where we're looking for our long-term buys. I think New Zealand dollar CAD looks absolutely beautiful for us to find trades in both directions. So hence I'm going to be both sell bias, obviously short term, as you guys can see the short term setup, and then obviously bullish bias, my higher time frame. The important setup that we're looking for is the bullish bias setup, because that gives us the best probabilities and best opportunities to find those scale ins and all of those things. You guys know, to maximize on reward, we look for those higher time frame setups. So that 4-hour support, that daily support, that's where we want to buy. This 1-hour resistance, this 4-hour resistance, this is our short-term trading opportunity. Now let's get into the last pair that we're going to have a look at for this week's weekly market forecast, and that is our US30. Coming into things here, we're going to stick to the higher time frames, guys, on US30, because we kind of want to look for those upside continuations, since we've been seeing momentum obviously recently pushing to the upside, being able to violate some resistance areas. Now, looking at this momentum, obviously we're not going to drop down onto the lower time frames, because we're gonna wait for those probabilities to come to where we want to buy from, to obviously maybe try and continue with this a nice bullish momentum that we're seeing in the market. So what we have here is obviously prices entering some sort of a range. You guys remember from our previous analysis, we identified that price action was in a range, this being the high of the range, this being the low of the range. Obviously we're looking for selling probabilities from the high, buying probabilities from the low. Hence we were able to involve ourselves inside of this nice bullish momentum all the way to the upside. Now obviously what we do see here is prices breaking above this resistance area. Hence we've marked out our nice resistance over there. We also do see that there has been momentum in this move pushing to the upside. Now obviously once we see prices breaking above resistance, this resistance can function as support when price action does come back into the area. And what we do see here from a nice 4-hour is the momentum. We see this nice bullish engulfing candlestick over there giving us some momentum to the upside, obviously just below this area of resistance over there, which gives us better trading opportunities. Obviously, we know that people want to buy at resistance, so price action might pump those buyers into the market at this resistance, only to go just a little bit lower, tap into this nice beautiful demand area there, only to then maybe give us a good entry and maybe allow other people another structure for other people to be able to buy a little bit later than us. So what we're going to be doing is looking for the best potential buy, considering that momentum is to the upside, considering that we found this nice beautiful support there, nice beautiful bullish engulfing. When we drop down onto the 1 hour, we'll obviously just be able to refine that area. So obviously what we've done is we've just refined that area to this one bullish candlestick over there, where we see obviously sellers jumping into the market just before momentum came in that was able to violate these resistance areas. We see obviously this nice momentum candlestick over there pushing prices high, and also obviously we do understand that it functions as a nice demand area. So what we'll be waiting for simply is maybe let's not involve ourselves in the sell coming to the downside, because we don't observe the probabilities being on our side there, but we do see higher time frame bullish potential on US30. So what we're going to do is be waiting for price action to obviously come down into this point of interest. Obviously the structure that we form as we approach this area will give us an indication on whether we look for that risk entry or the reduced risk entry. If we come here impulsively, we wait for the reduced risk entry, which is an entry that market gives us after we've violated structure in the direction that we're looking to trade. Otherwise, if we come here in a corrective manner, then we can look for our risk entries, because already we are seeing a loss of momentum as prices are approaching an area where we're expecting obviously buyers to jump in. So guys, on US30 we'll be nice and bullish, just waiting for price action to come into this nice beautiful area of demand, and once prices get there, that's where we're looking for price action to confirm with a structure whether or not we should be pulling the trigger. Now guys, thank you so much for being part of this weekly market forecast. I hope that you guys are just as prepared as I am for this trading week. Looks like it's going to be an amazing week. The momentum, a lot of our pairs, obviously they stuck in the middle of momentum, and so hence we wait for those corrective structures before we trade. So that's why we're not looking at all of our pairs, but nonetheless guys, we will be waiting. The pairs that we do have for this week are giving us beautiful trading opportunities. Otherwise, so glad I could have shared my analysis with you guys. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely do drop a like on the video. Let me know that I am sharing some valuable content with you guys. Otherwise, subscribe if you're not subscribed and you've reached the end of this video, because it clearly shows you that you have received some value from the content. Otherwise, this is Tramayne, your ForexChasers mentor. We'll see you guys in the future videos, guys. Have a great trading week, guys. Enjoy. Cheers.